Well, good day, my friends. Today we are seeing Conversations on Elvis with his former wife Priscilla Presley. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. So as a first-time Elvis Week attendee, I have loved the entire experience. And yeah, the numbers were a little lighter this year because of COVID, which was good for me. I liked having not a million people everywhere, but to do the vigil, it took us probably at least an hour to get up there waiting in line, and we were told, oh, normally the line is 4 times as long as that.
I have been meeting a lot of people that have told me they're here for the first time.
Woo!
Some of them are here for the first time to go to the mansion. Where you been, but we're glad you're here. Wow, it's so great. I'm glad you were here. It was 1982 when the mansion opened for tours. And the reason we are here today, doing what we are doing and having this kind of fun, is because of what Priscilla Presley did. Let's welcome her out. I'm trying to have a seat right over here.
I've been absent for a couple of years, and then big move. Of course, I had my mom. I'm taking care of her, so God bless her. And thank you for everyone who has offered their condolences. I really appreciate that. But yeah, I've been absent for a couple of years. A lot's happened.
Yeah.
The crowds have gotten bigger and bigger, which I love, and more beautiful every time I see all these beautiful people here. Thank you so much. And yes, 82 was a big year.
I go back and I look at those videos of the time, and all of us, if we've been coming for that amount of time, have lived through the different iterations of the tour. You guys have always kept up with technology. Started out with live guides, and now we're up to iPads. I mean, it's just been great. It's always been evolving for the fan experience.
It has, and when the iPads came out with a tour on the iPads, I was really reluctant about it because I feel it wasn't personal enough. It's always nice when you have a tour guide, someone that can show you around and ask questions. So when it came time for the iPad, it was like, oh no, I just think it's going to take the intimacy away. It's just like you're looking at it, oh, that's fine, but we have someone pointing out things and telling stories and new stories all the time. But is everyone having okay? You okay with the iPads?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Who's not okay with the iPads? Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's no.
Who would rather have John Stamos standing next to him? That's the next tour. John.
I'll be here. I actually know John. He's a great guy.
He is a huge Elvis fan.
Yes.
He
yes.
has little Easter eggs throughout his series, Full House, that of Elvis, all because he's always been an Elvis fan. So it's great. It's great that you got him as the voice. But I wanted to ask you, if you could go back and talk to Priscilla from '82, what would you tell her that she just doesn't know that you know now about that decision to open?
Well, first of all, I know it was a good decision. First and foremost. I guess it would probably be, it's a little bit like Elvis, and I had told this story yesterday, when he was doing the '68 special. And people had asked me, when was he ever nervous about? And I said, absolutely he was, because he hadn't really, his voice, he didn't know if his voice could carry it on, and he hadn't used it forever, and he hadn't appeared, as you know, because of movies. And yes, he was nervous like anyone else would be, but when I thought about opening up, when I had to, because as you know, the attorneys had said we have to sell, and it just, in my mind, I said, that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. I have to say that somehow, and I had, honestly, I don't know where I got that from. I look back and I go, my gosh, how did I do this? Because, it was trying to find someone to help us get it, have it, take it, move it on, and make money to be able to save it. And I looked around for a few people. Peter Uberoff being one of them. I don't know if you know. I went and met with him. I actually met with him, and then when I looked around, I thought, gosh, you know, it'd be great if he could help us out here. Peter Uberoff was at that time. He did the Olympics in '82.
He helped bring the Olympics to LA, I believe.
Pardon me?
I think he helped bring the Olympics to LA.
Yes, he did. He helped bring the Olympics to LA in '82, I believe. But just trying to find people that would be interested to help me put money into Graceland. And I met a few people, and then I met Jack Soden, we had a mutual friend. And this friend would take us to different places that he was interested in. And Mount Rushmore was one of them, Disney World was another one. And we became friends, and then Jack knew him very well, worked with him, and knew what the things we were seeing and what we talked about. Unfortunately, he died in his own plane, a private plane. And gosh, at that time I was like totally lost. Now what am I going to do? Because he was going to help me. And then I thought, wait a minute, Jack has been with us this whole entire time. And I went, I'm gonna ask Jack to, you know, since he knew what we were doing. And it's the best decision I ever made. Yep. One of them, the best, because Jack Soden has been the heart and soul.
To have that kind of leadership in place with you and Jack, to have that, and I've recently been using this term a lot, because institutional knowledge is something that you're somewhere for so long that what you've learned can't be taught to the next person that replaces you. And Jack and you both together have such an institutional knowledge of this. And I don't know if you were able to hear, I have had so many people this week come up to me and say, oh my gosh, you're great. But also, they come up and they said, you know, this is our first time at Elvis Week, and this is our first time to Graceland. More than any other year I can remember, I've met people who were at Elvis Week and at Graceland for the first time. So all the work that you've done all these years, there are still new fans coming,
yes.
And it's a new experience for everybody. But
yes.
You always work to make the experience even more for the people that do come. All the things that are here, all the ways that it's presented, is always new and different.
Yes, and thank God for all of you fans. I was talking yesterday about, you know, bringing in the younger generation and having them experience, you know, Elvis and Elvis's life and who he was, and that is happening, which is great. But I am also in awe that we have come this far and what we have done. And of course, we keep getting new people interested in coming to Graceland. I've had more people stop me in the streets and go, oh my God, I was just in Graceland for the first time, and I wish I had gone sooner, but I'm thinking, well, you know, at least you went. And so it's very gratifying to see all the new faces, the older faces, and like I said, a lot of you weren't there, but it's like one big family. Elvis has brought so many people together. It's like family, and I really look at it that way. It's just it's almost like, you know, he was always so caring, so considerate, sensitive, of course, and it's like the fans are like him to me, because they've been gracious, they've been loyal. They brought their families, they keep coming back, and it is like one big, huge family.
Yeah, and like you said, family, but when you had to, you were strong, and you were there for him, and you were there for us, and that's important. And through this last 18 months, when the world just spun out of control and things got strange, we hunkered down, but we spent a lot of time with Elvis. I mean, with the music and the movie, he gave us such a gift of, and we were able to sit back, and a lot of us, probably to the detriment of the people in our family that might not be an Elvis fan. I met one couple this week that she's the Elvis fan and he's not. And I said, how long have you been here? They've been here 4 days. And I said, are you weakening? He goes, a little bit. I'm kind of scared. I said, it's just easier to come on over.
Good answer.
it's been bringing us news of new things, and I can remember you coming out one year and saying, Tom, there's going to be an album with an orchestra, because Elvis always wanted an orchestra, and you told Joe Gershio about it, and Joe said that's what he always wanted. You find things every year, there's something different, and we don't know it now because it's still kind of, we just know a little bit of news about the movie film that was filmed in Australia with Tom Hanks, but it's going to start rolling out here pretty soon. News about it. What can you tell? First of all, I think COVID became real for most of us when we heard Tom Hanks in Australia had it. And that was the first exposure a lot of people had, not only to that, but finding out, oh, there's an Elvis movie, and Tom Hanks is playing Colonel Parker.
Yeah.
And that, when it happened to him, it made it real for us.
Yes, it did. And I had invited Baz to lunch at my house a week prior to him going to Australia, Tom Hanks. So, well, I've had Baz too, but not at the same time. And that was pretty frightening because it was just coming out, and all of a sudden they're saying it's very contagious. Thank God I didn't have it. But Tom was great, by the way. Tom Hanks is great. I just, having lunch with, or actually dinner, we stayed there talking at his place for like 4 or 5 hours. Jerry came up and brought Jerry. So anyway, what was the question?
It was about. That was a good answer for whatever it was you were talking about. It's about the movie.
Okay, to be honest with you, Arlo asked me, I don't know anything about what's going on with that movie. Baz came to my home a couple of times. He said he'd send me the script once he was back in Australia. He's still working on it. I have not received it, which makes me a little nervous. Actually, a lot nervous. Because Baz can be, he kind of goes offbeat a bit. Yeah. So I don't know what he's planning on doing.
I know he visited with Austin. They visited Tupelo.
Yes,
I know that.
I met him. Yes, Austin.
So your thoughts on Austin? Who's the actor?
I don't know any of his acting abilities. Yeah. He was a nice looking boy. Had good features for sure. But again, no one will ever look like Elvis.
I'm sorry. I feel for any actor. He was in a role that totally different. He was in the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood movie, played Tex Watson. That's going to be his resume is going to be in Tex Watson, Elvis Presley. Wow, that's diverse. But I've seen some photos taken by a drone in Australia of the set that they built for Beale Street, and you can it looks like Beale Street of the era. If you see the photos of where Lansky was there on that corner, there's the big Lansky sign and all the cars and all the buildings. So this is a big deal. I mean, they're recreating the era of where he was and the time. And Memphis, I believe, by looking at these photos, Memphis is going to be a real part of the movie.
It is, absolutely. And he does come out with great films. I just don't know what direction he's going to take it in.
Yeah.
He has his own ideas. He has talked to people. So it all depends on who he's talked to, really.
But the movie will be on everyone's tongues. I think it's June of next year.
Yeah.
And so during Elvis Week, you'll be hearing all about it from everybody. They'll be giving you their reviews.
Yeah, I had nothing to do with the film. If it was good, I had everything to do with it.
I think Jerry told me one time on projects, he said plausible deniability. And you want to keep a distance from it.
A funny story about Jerry, he did.
Let's tell stories about Jerry. He's not here to defend himself.
Maybe I shouldn't tell a story.
No, go ahead.
I'm kidding. I was really nervous about Elvis and Nixon, the movie, because he played. He was like on the set watching it and very concerned about his role, obviously, and should be. So when I forgot who it was that played him.
Alex Pettyfer.
Yes, Riley used to date him for a little bit. Yes, very nice.
There's a connect. See, Elvis is everywhere.
True. So anyway, I asked Jerry, well, how do you feel? Because I don't know. I don't know the guy who's playing me. I don't know. I haven't seen him or blah blah blah. And then when he met him, he had a big smile on his face. He said who it was. And he said, he's a really good-looking guy. Yeah, okay. I'm sure you're right. Do you feel better now? And he goes, yeah.
He told me something, though, and I believe he would be okay with me saying this, that he struggled with that concept in that movie, but at the end of the day, he thought it better to be a part of it,
yes,
to try to help and look out for Elvis,
yeah,
than to not be a part of it, and they're free to do anything.
Yes.
He said, at least I can be in the room fighting for Elvis if I'm working on the project.
We both battle that.
Yes.
Absolutely, we both battle it. There's a documentary that's coming out that they want to do, and I'm really nervous about documentaries. The same thing, and I don't really know if I want to be a part of it because of some people that are involved. You know, it's their take, and they don't really, they don't really know the truth, and it's you take that. That chance.
And when you sit down for an interview for someone else's documentary, they can take what you're saying, and you have no control over that.
It's true. It is true. I try not to get involved in them, unless it's really a good director, really good producer. I sat down and talked to them, and so yes, it's kind of scary when you leave someone else's life that you care about and know all about, even with yourself, to have someone else in charge.
And all the people that were around him. Around Elvis's life, when you go down the cast list in Baz's movie, you start seeing those familiar, Gladys and Vernon, and all those people.
Yeah.
And it's, it ends up being sometimes what people know about JFK is maybe not what actually happened. It was they saw Oliver Stone's movie.
Yeah.
So the actual truth sometimes gets tied up in that. But I think Elvis's story survives any movie because it's bigger than any one movie could really do.
Yes, and someone can take his opinion into a whole other, other world, because Elvis was strong enough, and he had his opinions, and he was very verbal. So I worry about an outsider taking that and twisting it. So it's a constant, a constant worry. And
for every project we see, you're probably approached with 25 other projects that you say no.
Yeah.
Everybody's got what they think. Tell me about what you can tell me about the animated series.
Agent King.
Agent King.
That's coming out next year because of our pandemic, and I hope it doesn't come back because now they're kind of, having other opinions.
I'm learning the word variant that I didn't know.
Variant, that's true.
Yeah, that Delta variant.
Yes.
I'm like, well, there's another new word for me.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Quarantine, flatten the curve, all this stuff that I found out. And I thought epidemic was, when they kept calling it a pandemic, I was like, well, that's not that bad. It's not an epidemic. But epidemic's better than a pandemic. And I'm like, oh, we just skipped the epidemic. We went right to the pandemic.
I did the same thing. I'm like, what the heck's a pandemic?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then it became a zombie movie.
Agent King will come out next year. Gosh. I read the scripts, I worry about the scripts because I put it's an adult animation. So, I'm leaving it to Sony and Netflix because that's who has it. Sometimes the script comes in and I go, God, that Elvis never would say that. They have a part where his assistant of the commander, because we're going back to Manson days on this, with the commander that's kind of guiding everything, and Elvis wants to be an agent. And he's the commander of the agency. So, but he has an assistant. And his assistant's like really tough, and she's like saying things and telling Elvis, get it yourself, and blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh my God, he would never have anyone, any woman, or anyone to say, get it yourself. He really don't say it. Like, you can't put that in there. So it's me trying to change everything that Elvis would not do. But they said, come on, give us some slack. And I go, I'll give up on this, but you got to take this out. This can't happen, or you can't be saying things like that. Or they had the part where she says, "Yeah, you and that black hair you got in your head," or something like that. I go, "Don't make fun of his hair. His hair is really cool. This is so not okay with me." It's those little things that
Elvis, dyed his hair black to look like Tony Curtis. I've dyed my hair gray to look like Tony Curtis in the older years.
Yes. Wait, did anyone ever tell you look like Tony Curtis?
Exactly. I dress like Tony and I talk like Tony.
It's giving him what he always wanted to be as a secret agent.
Yeah.
But I am concerned. I am concerned because it is, you know, they have bosses and I have to give slack on some areas and be really protective in others. So I don't know. I just hope, because I'm constantly having him redo things, and Jerry actually was going to be involved, and he bowed out. He got nervous.
Plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability, yeah. So he's gone back and thought, well, maybe I should. And I go, that's too late.
Yeah. Well, he got, you know, just when you're out, the Beach Boys pull you back in.
That's
so
right.
Jerry's managing the Beach Boys again.
Yeah.
So that's what
right.
he's been doing. And I know the two of you didn't get to see each other for a while during everything in LA, and recently you were getting together. And it must be tough to be so close to people for so long. And I mean, it's happened to all of us, but to not be able to get out and to do
I'm
those
sure
things.
all of us have felt that, you know, been captive really in our own homes. And you kind of have to live with yourself and learn about yourself and what you like and what you don't like and what you know, put up with. And it's a whole learning experience. But I have to say, toward the middle, I was kind of enjoying not doing anything and not having to run here or go to this appointment or to this or go pick up that or you forgot this. It was really nice.
You had time, which
Yes.
you never had before. The gift of, in some ways, a lot of us got the gift of time. And
That's
were
right.
able to think about things.
And it was a learning experience, really. A lot of thinking, a lot of future, a lot of what ifs, a lot of maybes, and trying to figure out where your next step is and where you're going to go. And I'm at that time in my life where I'm doing that. I'm kind of thinking, gosh, you know, I just moved out of my house of 47 years.
Wow.
And that was a bit sentimental for me, but I had to really go, okay, it's time. It's time. I had my mom, and of course my cousin Ivy lives with me. And I went to a place of security, so I have guards, you know, a gated area. I've never lived in any other house than my house I sold. So it's been an adjustment for sure. My dogs like it. Because I get to go all around the property and there's trees and stuff, so they like it, so that makes me happy.
Yeah.
But it's been an adjustment, but I actually like it.
Take stock of the rest of your life of what, you know,
Yeah.
because you have time to stop to see what's now important.
Yes.
And all the other stuff, you can put it aside.
But I'll tell you what I do. I go to my house, swear to you, every single day I go to Summit, because the owners, the new owners are Asian, and I said, they came to meet me, and I actually went there to meet them, they wanted to meet me. And I said, you know, I love that you have my house, I love what you have in mind for it, but when are you going to start? And they said, oh, not for 6 months or so. And I said, can I come over every day and use the tennis court? Because that's what I play with my dogs. Since they were little, that I would go and hit the ball every day and they would go run for it. The other one chases lizards. The next chases lizards. That's the first thing he does when I have to go in the sun when it's sunny, because that's when the lizards come out. No, he doesn't kill them, he just chases them. And my little Jack Russell Terrier, long-haired terrier, likes to play ball. So I'm always hitting the tennis racket. But I do this every day at 4:30. And they've been so gracious to let me come every day.
That's great. Your home and other people are occupying it. You were there for all those years. What did you find that you would, because you've been somewhere that there's got to be stuff in the back of the closet that's just been there forever.
Oh.
What did you find that you're like, oh my God, I can't
Oh
believe
my
it.
God, I found a pair of socks I've been looking for I don't know how long. It's been there 6 years. You know, you just put them inside out. They were behind my coat closet, the ones that are long. And I'm like, damn, must have been the dog that put it there.
Yeah, socks end up being all around the house. And that you had time to think about what's to come, and we wish you happiness.
Thank you, thank you. You know, one of the other things that I've learned, you know, when I've traveled all over Europe, and I traveled with a tour with the orchestra, and I went to Chile, and I went to Buenos Aires, and every theater, every auditorium, we sold out, every single one. And I would get so emotional because it's like he affected so many people in so many countries. And there's one place that we're talking about going to now that is still kind of in the works, I can't say where, that I'm so excited about. That
Are you going to the moon?
yes, I'm going to the moon.
You're going to space.
You weren't supposed to tell anyone.
Oh, no.
This is going to be, this is, now I'm not going, because everybody knows.
Elvis truly is out of this world.
No, but every
That's so
auditorium
exciting.
was so packed that the effect that he left in this world was, I don't think we'll ever see it. Not like Elvis. No.
Well, as much as we are family this year, they love you.
Oh, well, I love them. 45, my gosh. We're old. Oh, maybe not you.
Yeah.
We're old.
You know what? Not as long as I got Elvis. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing all of us.